Hello and welcome back to the Content Bite. Our aim is to help writers of all kinds create a thriving business and a career that they love. I'm Rachel Smith, a journalist, copywriter and content producer, and the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and creative community. And I'm here with my co-host, Lynn Testoni. Hello, Lynn.
Hi again, Rach. It's lovely to be back. So my name again is Lynn Testoni, and I'm also a content creator, writer and journalist. And today's episode is all about pitching, which is something that Rachel and I get asked about a lot.
We do. I think half the questions that we get in the Gold Group or in Ask Us Wednesday are about pitching, and it's a really funny one. We've got so much to cover about pitching today, but I am so excited to introduce our guest today, John Burfitt, who is a friend of both of us. He's also done a great interviewing masterclass for Rachel's List, which some of you may have attended recently. And I know he's got lots of really fantastic insights into crafting pitches and following up and building a successful freelance writing business where a lot of what you do is pitching and you make it your habit.
Exactly. So to welcome John aboard, we both know John really well and we know heaps about him. But maybe, John, do you want to give us a bit of a summary of you and what you've been doing and freelancing?
This is really exciting. It's my first time on the Content Bite, and I hope if I'm well behaved, it's not my last time on the Content Bite.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. I've been a freelancer now for 20 years, and it's been a pretty incredible and pretty wonderful journey for me. But as a journalist, I started in suburban newspapers, then moved into glossy magazines, and moved into fashion magazines. I worked in television and radio for a while. I worked in PR, and then I went freelance. And I went freelance 20 years ago because I actually wanted that variety of work. And since then, I've done a bit of everything from business, health and fitness writing to entertainment writing to profiles and to a whole range of, over the past couple of years, content work. It's freelancing in our industry has been a business avenue that has treated me really well and has been great for me.
Oh, fantastic. Welcome to the Content Bite, John. We're both really thrilled to have you.
We are stoked to have you. Yeah. And I think you are the kind of freelancer really who is so successful because you have evolved over the years and you have made sure that you have never stood still. You've just reinvented yourself constantly. And we talk a lot about that at Rachel's List, but you're kind of the poster child for reinvention.
Is it a good shot on the poster?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we wanted to talk about pitching, and I love your little mantra, which you're going to tell us in a second. So tell me about the sort of mistakes that freelancers do when it comes to pitching, particularly writers.
Lynn, the thing, and I know you and Rachel have talked about this in the past, but the thing I find with a lot of freelancers is they don't treat this like a business. You are in business. We all think we're creative people. We want to write, we want to do content, we want to shoot videos, we want to do feature stories, but step back for a second, you are in a business. And therefore, as a business, you have to be following up and chasing up work all the time. I actually spoke to a friend of mine today at a very, very big advertising agency and was talking about what we're doing today. And I said to him, some people have a real problem with pitching and some people think they're scared of it or that they shouldn't have to. And he said, I work for one of the biggest advertising agencies in the country. We are pitching for work the whole time. And this, if I said their name, you'd go, oh God, everyone knows them. Why are they pitching for work? Because they want the work. And as freelancers, we have to put a business hat on and say, what am I doing to keep myself busy and to keep myself in work? Because when I first went freelance 20 years ago, I didn't just set up my computer and go, terrific, John Burfitt's in business and that phone and that email is going to go crazy. It doesn't work like that. You have to be following up work all the time. And can I tell you that my approach hasn't really changed in that 20 years. 20 years ago, I was making phone calls and emails and sending packages and sending ideas to potential clients. I'm still doing the same thing today all the time. 2 weeks ago, I told Rachel, I said, I'm having a bit of a slow week. And I pitched one story list to a different person each day. 2 of them were cold calls. 2 of them I had never worked for before. Of that 5 days of pitching, I've got basically commissions from 4 of them.
Oh, fantastic.
So it was a great return. And that wasn't because, you've got your regular mates and clients. As I said, 2 of them were brand new pitches. And I thought, I wonder how this will go. and I got work out of it. Yeah.
That's really interesting because, I think that you're so much more of a pitcher than I am, because when I have a lot of work in the pipeline, I don't pitch. I know that I should be, but I kind of get into a habit of not doing it.
Yeah.
But I know that you pitch all the time. So what's your routine? Do you have an afternoon where you set aside doing pitches and research and actually crafting the pitch, or do you do it on an ad hoc basis? And how often do you pitch, say, per week?
Okay, this is a really good question. And I think this is something Lindy Alexander spoke about a little while ago. Sometimes allow a day per month just to pitch. That doesn't work for me. What I do is I'm always very aware of my pipeline. And the pipeline is what's on the schedule, what's coming through, what's that needs to be delivered.
Where are the gaps?
And then I go, gee, I'm getting to, okay, this schedule is going to run out in 2 or 3 weeks. I get busy. I get really busy and start pitching. And I'm not one of those people that go, right, you've got to sit there for a day and go, right, I've got to think up all my ideas today. It doesn't work like that. Whenever I come up with an idea, in fact, I did this yesterday. I came up with an idea for a magazine that I'm writing for. And I was actually on my way to pick up my nephew from cricket practice. And I came up with this idea and just sent myself a text message. And this morning, took that idea and crafted it into a longer point. And I've now got that in a holding pattern. So I now always have ideas in a holding pattern for all my different platforms that I'm writing for. So I don't agree that you should be pitching in one hit, on one day. I think you basically pitch to different editors and different publishers at different times. As you realize that pipeline that you've got, that schedule is becoming, much emptier and far emptier than you want, and then start getting ideas in. So I'm coming up with ideas all the time. If I read something online that I think is good, I will highlight it and send myself an email. And then I'll put that into my, I've got a pitch folder. And I'm basically throwing ideas in there all the time. So there's an editor I need to pitch to actually the end of this week. And at the moment, I don't know what I'm pitching to her, but I know if I go to my pitch folder, there's about 8 different ideas there. And when I say ideas, I don't mean I've, fleshed it all out. It might be one sentence. It might be a headline, but it's an idea that's ready to go. So when I go, okay, I'm going to pitch to Mary Jane, I go, right, where are those ideas to Mary Jane? And there might be 10 ideas there, and I never send her 10 ideas. I send her 4. And this is an old freelancer's trick I was told years ago. And yeah. Lynn, you've been an editor, so you'll probably know this.
Yes.
I was always told.
Have you done this to me?
Well, maybe I have. I was always
the 2 good, 1 crap idea.
No, it's always make sure 2 are really good. Make sure 1's okay, and make sure 1 they're going to reject it, because it'll make the others look even better. But what is really scary is sometimes when you send off the ones you go, that's pretty crappy, nobody's going to pick it up, and they go, oh, I love that, that one.
And then you got to write it.
Idea.
So be strategic. Don't send them 50. And Lynn, I don't know about you, when you were doing all the editing, if you used to get people sending you 20 ideas. And I hate to say it, when I first started freelancing, I used to do that. I will now never, ever send an editor more than 4 ideas at a time.
Yeah,
and I always make sure one's particularly weak so that the other 3 look better compared to it.
Yeah, I would usually, I reckon 3 to 4 would be good. Sometimes if it's a weekly and they've got a constant churn, you could go to 5.
Yep.
But honestly, editors start to think if you get too many ideas, or even if you repitch them, they start to look stale, even if they feel like they've read it before. So if you have 20 ideas for an editor, sending them 3 at a time or 4 at a time is a good idea. And then you keep the others for, later.
And Lynn, the other thing, sorry, just on that point, the other thing that I think is really important is if you have, let's say you've come up with 10 ideas and you think they're really good, if the editor hates the 4 ideas you sent through, I always go, hey, thanks so much for that. I'll get back to you in a week or so time when I've got some more ideas. I've already got another 6 ideas ready to go. So I don't, I never take it too personally, but I always think that's great. She, I'm thinking of one person in particular, hated those 4 ideas. And the next time around, she'll go, oh yeah, I'll take 3 of those. So you've always got something coming down the pipeline, and think of it as a pipeline. Think of your pitching as a pipeline that you've got to be coming up with stories with all the time. So be sending yourself messages, and don't think, oh, I must remember that the next time I'm pitching, because you will forget it. That's why I send myself emails. I send myself text messages. I do things on my phone all the time.
Do you find that even if the editor doesn't take up your idea, for whatever reason, maybe she's got her own ideas, maybe she doesn't like them. You know, she might have something similar already, you know, in the pipeline. But that often puts you at the top of the list if she's starting to commission. So even if she doesn't actually accept your pitches, she actually thinks, oh, but I do have this story I wanted. I mean, that happened to me recently. I pitched some ideas and they said, well, we're not really working on the next lot, but we've got one for the last issue. And can you do this with a quick turnaround? So I did that and that worked.
Yeah. I sometimes pitch in a very ad hoc way compared to the two of you. I'll just think of something and then send it to an editor I know and say, do you think this has legs? And often that idea will come back to me 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah.
Because, you know, really ethical, lovely editors will put it aside with your name on it and give it back to you and say, this is your story from before, and you'd completely forgotten you pitched it, but suddenly you've got it. But I just want to say your process is really interesting. It involves a folder, emailing yourself ideas, text messaging yourself ideas.
Yep.
Whereas, I don't know if you know, but at Rachel's List, we've got a pitch tracker where you throw the ideas in and you can put reminder dates in it.
Great.
And you can see how many have been picked up, because if you sell one, you click it and it changes in the interactive dashboard. So it can actually be a really good way to see at a glance how your pitching is going.
Yeah.
So having a system
it is a numbers
essential.
game. It is a numbers game, isn't it, John?
Yeah.
So for every 10 pitches, you might get 1 or 2 up. And I think some people might, you know, send off lots of pitches and not get anywhere. And then they feel quite dispirited and give up. But it's not what it is.
Lynn, that is such a good point. About 12 years ago, when I first started doing travel writing, and I was writing for one of the major Sunday supplements, and I started doing all these trips, and a lot of people said, you are so lucky. You are so lucky. How did that happen for you? And I was really happy to tell this story. The editor who was there hated the first email idea, pitch of ideas I sent through. She hated the first one. She hated the second one. She hated the third one. She hated the fourth one. And this is a true story. And then on the fifth one, she went, oh, I love all those 3 ideas. Yeah, I'll take those. Hey, listen, are you available to go to the Philippines on a trip for me in 2 weeks' time? And I went, yep, absolutely sure. Jumping up and down. So what I'm saying is I went through 4 lots of rejection, and it wasn't that she didn't like them. She hated them. She hated them. And she would tell me, these are wrong. These are the wrong tone. This is not what I want, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, I'm going to write for you.
You just kept trying.
And I just kept knocking on the door. And as I said, email number 5. And then people turned around and went, you're so lucky, John. Gosh, you're lucky. And I'm going, guys, there was so much knocking on the doors. And then once I was in with her and she saw I could deliver, she would go, hey, what else have you got? And I'd go, oh, I've got another few ideas. And by the way, I started recycling some later on. Some of the initial ideas that she hated, with the great feedback that she gave me, I recycled those and reshaped them. And she went, oh, I really like that one now. And I like that one now. And I remember saying to her, you hated that 2 months ago. And she went, yeah, because the idea stunk. And, it was really interesting.
Worked it. Yeah. You know, that whole saying is my dad's favorite saying, that the harder I work, the luckier I get. It's funny that.
Yes.
But it does work in regards to pitching.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a bit of a lead time. Like, I know I'm just finishing a story this week. Now, I first pitched this editor, I think 2 months ago. And he said, no, these aren't quite right. Our focus is more on a B2B thing. Can you come back? I did. He said, that's great, but I'm not commissioning for this issue now. But he gave me another story. And then he came back another month later to say, yep, I'll go with that first idea you said. So it's been 2 months in between my email and his acceptance. Yeah.
Look, I know you have a very specific mantra that you follow, because we've talked about it so many times. I think it might have popped up in a Rachel's List blog post or two. So tell us about that.
Well, the mantra is basically, it came from me getting retired. And I'm sorry if I'm not sounding empathetic here, and I really mean that. It was me getting tired of colleagues that I treasure, and also a lot of former students saying to me, I've just got no work. I've just got no work. And I would say, are you pitching? Oh, no. And so my response became, and it's my mantra, pitch, don't bitch. Pitch your ideas. Don't sit around whinge. Don't go online and say, I've got no work and it's terrible and nobody's getting back to me. And I sent this list of great ideas off and they told me it stunk and nobody would pick it up. And it's like, well, okay, well, if that didn't get picked up, did you go to this person? Did you go to that person? Did you go to this person? Pitch, come up with the ideas and then follow through with them. Don't sit around bitching about it. And this is something that just really, it really irks me, because there is work out there. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not making light of the fact that a lot of people are doing it tough in our industry. And I've got a lot of friends who are doing it tough. But by the same token, I say to a lot of those friends, what are you doing? And as two of them said to me, and they're probably, Lynn, you're my vintage, two of them, and they're both very well-known journalists, both said to me, I'm at a point now, John, in my career where I shouldn't have to be pitching. The work should be coming to me. And I don't get that. And I've been a journalist for a long time. I've been a freelancer for a long time. I don't have a sense of entitlement that it's like, well, John Burfitt's been around for a long time and he's done everything from Good Weekend stories through to TV soap stories. Therefore, people should come to me. I've never had that attitude or belief. I'm always like, I'm in business. I want to be following up the work. Do you agree with that, Lynn?
I do agree. And I also think sometimes, because I've been around for a long time, people think I'm busy. And I know that I did pitch to somebody and she said, I said, I'd really like to do some more work for you. And she said, I knew you were really busy. You've been saying how much work you've got on.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I assumed that you wouldn't want to do this. And
I
that's
get
the
that
other thing too.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are busy, but then we're also churning out a lot of stuff. I'm writing 3 or 4 stories a month, and so a week, and so I can always use more, like the next week or the week after or whatever. So what are the best pitching strategies that you have? What ones work best?
An editor I spoke to recently said to me, I was talking about pitching to him, and he said to me, have you gone through our magazine and platform about 4 years ago? And I went, no. And he said, I want you to go back through 2015, 2016 copies, see what story ideas we ran there. I'm not saying reproduce them, because he said, I'll know if you've reproduced them, but put a new angle on it and put a new slant on it. And it's a really good way of, like, if you're writing regularly for the same platform, rather than just going, what did I do 4 years ago? Oh, I'll just churn that out again. Firstly, you'll be damaging your career and reputation. Yeah. But if you do deliver it, but if you do find a new way to look at it, do that. Secondly, whenever there's new reports, so I do, and I know Rachel does as well, we do a lot of writing for different health magazines. Whenever there's a new health report coming out, I go through it and I look for the statistics and figures. By the way, I'm a real nerd. I love the Bureau of Statistics. I'm on truly, there. If they put out, like, if they go, we've got a new...
I get their emails.
Yeah. Like, truly, you can mine that and you can go, oh, look at that. Like, I recently took a figure about population changes between Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane during COVID, and I applied it to 2 different health stories, and they both got picked up. And it wasn't the health, by the way, they weren't health figures that I was looking at. It was population trend figures. Yeah. So it's looking at that. It's also looking at what's in the news. What are people talking about at the moment? At university and with my coaching, sometimes I'll pull up a story of the day and go, right, this is trending at the moment. What are 5 other ideas I could get from this? And I don't mean the Prime Minister has announced this. Let's do an interview with the Prime Minister. I'm saying the Prime Minister or the Premier have announced this. What are all the various and associated trends and ideas that come with that? And I'm looking for ideas that way. And oftentimes when it comes to pitching, it's just from talking to people and talking to friends and seeing what's going on. And sometimes it's also looking for, where are the holes? Where are the things where you're going, gee, nobody's done a story about X, Y, and Z. Why not? You know what? I'm going to pitch that idea. And by the way, I'm going to pitch it before other people I know, will be doing that.
Yeah.
So there's a number of different strategies.
Do you think editors want pitches, or do you think, because I think some writers actually get gun shy, they're worried, they're scared of rejection.
Yep.
But we're actually doing editors a favour, aren't we? They must be tired of it, of coming up with new ideas all the time.
Lynn, you've been an editor. I've been an editor. Rachel, you've been an editor.
Yeah.
When I was editing, I was the editor of a cafe magazine for years. Like, I was editor of a cafe magazine for 14 years. After about 5 years, I began to run out of ideas. And it was the journos who would pitch to me that I'd go, thank God, because I've truly run out of ideas for this issue, and I've got to start commissioning in 2 weeks' time. And editors want them all the time. And there's an editor who, publisher, sorry, I should say, who I know quite well, who recently did a seminar at a college somewhere, and I won't say where, But and I actually happened to be at that college that day and sat in. He said to me afterwards, did that all make sense to you? And I said, yes, yeah, it did. I thought it was great. It was about pitching. This lecture also went online. And he said, I've had no follow-up. And I said, are you kidding? You were telling people in a 101 way how to do it. And he said, I don't know what it is. And he said to me, is it laziness? Is it fear? Is it they don't know how to approach business? And I don't want to have a go at anybody, but I think it's a bit of all three.
I do too.
Yeah.
I really do. I think there's a lot of people who come to me and say, I desperately need work. I have no work. How do you have work? And, all that sort of stuff. And I say, are you pitching? And they're like, no. Or, I pitched last month and nothing came of it. So I just dropped the ball on my pitching and I'm not doing it. And I'm like, last month? You have to be, if you have no work, you got to be pitching every day.
Every day.
And I think
following up, how do you go with following up?
Yeah.
Lynn, great. That's such a great question. One of my favorite editors who I just love working for, I sent her a pitch 3 weeks ago and she hasn't got back to me.
Yes.
So this week I'm sending her a pitch, just a reminder saying, hi, just making sure this came through to you. If not, do you have any feedback on these, or what kind of stories do you need at the moment? And she's fantastic. And I know she'll respond immediately, but often she'll come back and go, hey, we don't need anything for those sections at the moment, but here are the 2 sections we do. Have you got any ideas for that? And I make sure I bang out something within 2 or 3 hours and get back to her so that she goes, oh yeah, actually I'll take those 2 because there are holes for those sections.
Yeah. I think that's so true. And you know what? I just want to add to that. Do not pitch an editor and say, what sections are you looking for pictures for without giving them ideas? Do you know what I mean? Because I've read so much stuff about how editors hate that, or they hate, are you looking for stories right now?
I'm always looking for stories.
That kind of email infuriates editors, and go in with an idea.
and what the thing that used to drive me crazy, and I know some of your editors talked about this in the masterclass last year, was when people would send people's idea, and I'm not making fun of people, but people's idea of pitching was, hi, Lynn, I'm a freelancer. I'm on the market. So I'd like to let you know that I'm available for work.
Yeah.
And whatever stories you've got going, I'm certainly available for them at the moment. Would you please get back to me within the next couple of days and I can get busy for you? I can tell you what most 99.9% of editors do. They delete.
Yeah.
They want ideas. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so too. And even if you say, I've been seeing a lot of trends about carpets or something.
Yeah.
Just making that up and then say, I think I've seen some great statistics about carpets. Would you like me to craft a pitch on that?
Yep.
Or sometimes people, when I follow up, also back to that, is that usually when I follow up, people say, I'm so glad you followed up. I really do want that story. Or no, it's not quite right, but I do need something on bathroom taps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Yeah.
Didn't Lisa Sinclair say last year she got 400 emails a day? And so if you didn't follow up, you would just get swallowed up in the maelstrom of emails, because 400 one day, 400 the next day. By the time, she'd finally get to it, she couldn't find it. So that's the end of that pitch, And you have to follow up.
I would say to people listening to this who are in our community, don't be afraid to follow up and be careful with your timing. Oftentimes with my editors, I leave it 10 days. Some people go for a week. This particular editor that I'm following up has said I haven't heard from her in a couple of 2.5 weeks. But allow your timing. Don't pitch them one day and then pitch the next day going, hi, I haven't heard back from you, or even a couple of days later. That editor is really busy. So give them at least a week. As I said, I do it 10 days. And then if I don't hear back from them again, I will email them through one more time and go, hi, just checking in on these story ideas, because some of those story ideas I can use elsewhere. And there was one editor recently, again, a fantastic editor I deal with, who I pitched a story idea to her and I didn't hear back from her. She didn't follow up. When I followed up, I didn't hear back from her. But on the second follow-up, she said, hey, that story idea, I said to her, I'm just checking on that particular story idea. Is that right for you? If not, I have another platform that I think I could place it. By the way, it's a non-competing platform, but I really would like to do something with that story. And she responded back and went, thanks, John. Actually, I can't use that story, so go for it. By the way, I have something else that I have for you, and I'll be sending you an email later. I got an email from her 2 hours later with something I didn't even pitch to her, but a whole new commission.
Yeah.
I really like how you phrase that. That's that's a I want to give this to a non-competing platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to give them the option of still taking it, but you're essentially saying, I'd really love to shop this around. And I think that, a lot of journos don't know how to follow up in a very respectful way so as not to burn that bridge. They're upset the idea's been, obviously hasn't been well received or isn't being picked up, and so they get upset, they don't want to follow up. But I think you have to even do that third follow up and say, like the way that you phrased it, or I'd really like to shop this around if there's no interest at your end. If you can let me know by Wednesday, that would be fantastic, or something like that. You really just have to be very confident about, I'm moving on with this.
And I usually say something nice about no problems if you don't need this one, but keep me in mind for new things. Or
I love that.
So they know you're not taking it personally.
Yeah.
Can I
They
just
hate
say,
upsetting writers, really, surprisingly.
Yeah. we're sensitive little snowflakes, aren't we?
Absolutely. I always say we're creative people. So like you wear a lot of it on your sleeve. But I just want to go back to the point that Lynn made earlier, when a lot of writers, if their pitches get knocked back or if they don't hear back, they take it really personally.
Yeah.
And sorry, I've been there too. You do take it really personally, but you have to, and that's why I'm saying go back to the thought of being, I'm in business, and it's a game. It's like truly a game of chance.
Game
of
it's
hustling.
Numbers. Thanks, Lynn. The numbers game. It's absolutely a numbers game. So you might put 20 ideas out there, and 3 of them you might get. But I also want to honor people that's saying I have a problem, pitching. And Rachel and I talked about this quite a bit last year when I said to her, Rachel, I'm going through a stage where I've got pitching fatigue. I really did, and this is long before COVID. This is last year. I was having a bit of a rough time last year, and I said to Rach, I don't know how many more pitches I can put out there. And Rachel said to me, just keep going, because the moment you stop, you're out of the game.
Yes.
You are out of the game. And it was really good advice to just go, okay, I am feeling the fatigue, but it's not about me. And and as you're saying, Lynn, it's a numbers game. So if people are thinking, yeah, but I've put all these pitches out there and nothing came back, well, then maybe you need to pitch into new areas, new platforms, cold call. As I said, I cold called 2 weeks ago. I've got gigs out of it already. Yeah. Don't be afraid to do that. And that's when you've got to put on your business brain and really say, okay. And also sometimes go, who do I want to write for? X, Y, and Z are writing for them, and I'm sure they're full. You don't know that.
Yeah.
Don't assume.
Look, I think this is going to sound harsh, but what you've just mentioned about putting your business brain on, that's what it's all about. If you're going to be a freelancer who continues to have a steady cash flow, makes money, is in this for the next 10 years, you're not going back to full time, you're going to make this work. Pitching is just a habit.
Yep.
That you have to get into, just like sending letters of introduction, just like doing cold calls, just like going to networking events, meeting people, making connections, making as many connections as you can.
Yeah.
It's all part of the puzzle in building a really strong business. And if you drop that, I mean, that is just a really great way to build your pipeline.
And I also was going to say, back to John's point about the ABS, the Bureau of Statistics, is like having connections with external ideas factories is the other thing to keep your interest going. So when you do get the media release from the ABS, and I get things like the Weather Bureau and some of those boring government ones, and then but it's really helpful. And things like Telemedia, which talks about new editors or the MediaNet, and then they say, oh my God, Jane Smith is now the editor of this magazine. I haven't spoken to her for a while. It might be a good time to start emailing her and pitching her. Yeah. And just remind, and so all those being constantly on alert, I guess that's the deal, isn't it, Rach?
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to take John back, because you were mentioning you had the pitching fatigue before COVID, but I just want to talk a little bit about COVID, because I think that's been, it's thrown all of us into a flat spin. Yep. Do you think that how we've pitched and how we've approached pitching has changed?
I can only speak for myself, but when COVID hit back in February or March, I, like everybody, was terrified. I was working for 2 of the major magazine companies in this country and got dismissed from both of them, one of which shut down and one of which shut down a number of its titles. And I think people can read between the lines and know the companies I'm talking about. And it was awful. It was really awful. But I thought, okay, well, I need to find new platforms. So I literally went to the newsagent. And yes, I am one of these people that still goes out to the newsagent. And I went out and I bought probably about a dozen different magazines that I knew were Australian magazines. And I went, I've never written for these people. What are the companies? And I suddenly started looking up companies, and there are some companies that aren't the main players that need regular work all the time. And so I started going on their websites going, wow, there's 20 magazines here I've never heard of. There's 20 websites here I've never heard of. And that's who I started approaching. And a lot of them said, no, I'm right, thanks. And then a few of them said, yep, oh, yes, I like those 2 ideas. Or, oh, yes, I've seen some of your stuff on LinkedIn. Yes, I'd actually like you to write for us. Yeah, actually, I'll take 2 of those ideas. So it was a matter of like broadening out my scope. And then when all the dust began to settle, a lot of the people, the companies that we all pretty much got dismissed from, they started coming back to me saying, hey, we actually need this and this. Can you do that for me? And I went, absolutely, I can get that done for you by Friday. Rather than when you get a commission and saying, listen, I'm really busy at the moment, I can do it for you in 3 weeks' time. If you've got an editor that you're building that relationship with, turn things around as quickly as you can. If that means you pull a couple of late nighters, then you pull those couple of late nighters. Because in COVID, I just was like, there are so many of my mates who are out of work at the moment, and there are so many great people out there. What am I doing to differentiate myself? I also upped my profile on LinkedIn. I'd let it slide just a little bit, but I suddenly started getting busier on LinkedIn, just to say, to let people know what the things I was doing. I didn't, by the way, go on LinkedIn going, hi, I've been dismissed by 2 magazine companies this week. I'm available for work. Because I don't think that works. In fact, I personally think that's a really bad approach. I think approaching people with a proper business strategy is a far more effective way to go, rather than putting your flag up going, hi, no work. Please come and get me.
I'm desperate
for work. Yeah. I don't get that approach.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I think I've seen that approach too. Yeah. And we've talked about people doing that. I think I can totally understand why freelancers do it. They're used to being in-house. Suddenly they're cast out into the freelance world. They're freaking out. Yep. They think, maybe if I just throw myself on, at the mercy of the market and of the social platforms, something's going to come along. But it doesn't project that confidence. No. It doesn't make people think I want to work with that person, because automatically they just look at that person and go, they see desperation. Yep. And that's not, as sad as it is, it's not an attractive proposition. So, but I just want to say the lesson I really took from what you said is there is so much work out there. There are so many outlets to pitch to. Yeah. There are trade magazines. There's still consumer magazines. There's websites. There's, small businesses. There's blue chips. There's all kinds of people B2B. And companies out there that need good writers. So there's so much work for everybody, isn't there? It's just a case of believing that and not getting stuck in your little bubble of these are the 5 places I can get work from.
And I'll listen, all my mates all work at that one company. So I will just pitch to that company. Yeah. It's like truly get out of your comfort zone. A former student of mine from 10 years ago is absolutely raking it in as both a journalist and as a content creator, to the point, and this has been quite lovely, that a former student has been ringing me going, do you have any gaps in your schedule? Because I have so much stuff I need written. Yeah. And I'm going, yep, send it through. And she has more work. So she's now commissioning out to people, including her former teachers, God bless her. But what I'm saying is, like she just said to me, are you finding yourself in there's lots of work there? And I'm going, yeah, there's a steady flow of work. So I'm saying, so if anyone's listening to this going, okay, well, I haven't worked for a month or 2, my heart goes out to you. But I'd say to you is get busy and look beyond your traditional platforms, and don't keep going back to one media company because your mates work there or because you worked there for 5 years and you think they'll keep me employed. That ain't the way to go. You've got to treat it like a business and start looking at all the other platforms. And if you're thinking as well, I'm a journo, I just want to do, straight journalism. Start broadening your skills and start doing content writing and copywriting and advertising writing, because I do that regularly. And actually, I love that work. I absolutely love that work. I love that variety because it makes you a stronger writer. Yeah. So your writing muscle
works. Gets exercised.
Yeah, you're
Definitely.
exercising it. Yeah. And by the way, sometimes when I get those content commissions, I read them and go, how the hell am I going to do this? You work it out. You truly work it out.
Exactly.
You do. Look, we're going pretty much over time, so I'm going to wrap up, but I just really would love to get, perhaps 3 of your top tips for, journos who are finding themselves on the job market right now. They might have been made redundant or they might have tried freelancing, gone back to full-time and are back trying it again. I mean, in the market that we're all faced with now, what would be your 3 top tips?
Okay, I'm going to go back to the mantra. Pitch, don't bitch. Don't get on the phone, don't get on social media and whinge about the fact there's no work. That's been the case for forever. And there actually is work. So that's number 1. Pitch, don't bitch. Number 2, come up with the ideas. Look for ideas everywhere you go. Open newspapers, open magazines, open blogs, open websites, go online. As Lynn was saying, look at various companies and think, what can I be doing to help these people out? Be it an editor, be it a publisher, be it a marketing director of a ceramics company. What can I do to make their job easier? What kind of material will work for them? So that's number 2. And number 3, network and stay in contact. Your phone is not just going to go crazy and your email is going to go crazy because you've put out a website and you've got a LinkedIn post. You have to be proactive and be really, really proactive in letting people know that you're out and about. Can I just add a 4th one as well?
Yeah.
Deliver and deliver on time. Be the journo or be the writer or the content creator or whatever you call yourself who delivers. Be the person that actually doesn't ghost an editor or a publisher or a marketing director after they've commissioned you. And by the way, that happens all the time. I know so many editors that go, I commissioned this person and they went AWOL. Don't be that person. And secondly, don't be that person that goes, hey, thanks for the commission. I know you need the story within 10 days, but I've got a birthday party to go to and I've got, I'm going to Avoca for 2 weeks. So can we extend that deadline by 3 weeks? And that happens a lot as well. That means you've got to pull an all-nighter, pull the all-nighter and basically get the work done and get the story done so that basically those editors or those publishers know that you are utterly reliable. I was once described by a great editor who I needed a reference at one time, and he put on my reference, he's utterly reliable. And I actually was surprised. And I said to him, what do you mean by that? He said, you've never been late for a deadline, ever.
I think that's a good reputation to have.
Yeah. And by the way, David, thank you very much for that. But what I'm saying is I never realized that because I just thought, well, it's a deadline as a journo. I've been working to deadlines since I was 17, and it's like you just deliver. You don't let it slide and you don't ghost an editor who you want work from next week and next month and next year.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually really simple to be the kind of freelancer that gets repeat work and gets regular work. It's really, really easy.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of clowns out there who are just,
But come back to being, what am I like in business and what are my business practices? And yes, you are in business. So what is it that you're doing with your business practices?
Yeah, business hacks.
Fantastic.
So good.
That was fun. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that brings us to the end of the show, doesn't it, Rachel?
I think so. And thank you so much, John, for all your insights, all your wisdom. And I think we could probably talk to you all day.
Can I just say, and I'm being serious about this, good luck to anybody at the moment who's doing it tough, because I've got mates who are doing it tough.
Yeah.
But start taking on board what can you do to actually make yourself employable and to make yourself busy.
Yeah.
We've all got to do it. And I don't care if, you've been doing it for 20, 25 years like I have. You've truly got to be out there. And I wish anybody, who's in that situation, really good luck. And also just go for it.
Yeah. Great words.
Okay. So don't forget to head over to Rachel's list for the show notes for this episode, and we'll have all the ways to connect with John as well. He is pretty big on LinkedIn.
He is very big.
You can follow all his lovely travel stories on Instagram as well, which is always good.
Yeah, exactly.
And please don't forget to leave us a review on your favourite podcast platform, because that does help people to find us, which is fantastic. And we'll be back next week.
We will. Thank you, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.